everyone, I'm Princess Link and welcome back to Metal Gear Solid 2. Chapter 18. I'm sorry, I was just watching John Ladies. Raiden made it to the core elevator just as a shell-wide PA announcement bellowed loudly and clearly. We have an intruder in Shell 1. All personnel, we are on red alert. Begin caution mode protocol. Search every section of the structure. The intruder may be dressed in our own colors. Face check all personnel encountered. I repeat, the elevator doors closed. As the lift rose to F1, Raiden made a call on the codec. Colonel, Ames is dead, he said when the officer answered. Officer? Looks like a heart attack.
That's unfortunate, the colonel replied. However, do we at least know where the president is?
So there really is a new type of Metal Gear in this place?
Apparently, we're still looking into it.
I've also been told that the nuclear strike was what the terrorists were after from the start, not the $30 billion.
True, it was a cover-up all along.
Raiden was really angry now. Colonel, what are you keeping from me? The officer flared up as well.
I am not keeping back anything. It's not as though I'm told all the facts either. I'm pulling in all the favors I can to look into this. Just be a little patient. Our priority should be with the president right now. We can take it that they've completed the password entry and are preparing Metal Gear for a nuclear strike. Get to the president as soon as possible.
Raiden shook his head in frustration. But the president's cooperating with them.
According to Ames, yes. But it's also true that they're about to get rid of the president. There's something else going on here, and the president may be able to tell you what it is when you see him in person.
What?
Once they get the confirmation for nuclear launch, they'll do it. You need to rescue the president before then.
Rose interrupted the conversation. Jack, I agree with the colonel. You need to protect the president for now. Raiden took a deep breath and tried to calm down. All right. He signed off as the elevator doors opened on F1. He was back at the entrance to Core 1. An enemy sentry was in the corridor where Raiden had knocked out the surveillance camera. Before the guy could turn around to see who was in the elevator, Raiden ducked to the side of the lift so the cage would appear empty. He put his finger on the door's open button. Hopefully, the guide would take the bait. The approaching soldier's footsteps grew nearer. Who's there? The man asked in Russian. Raiden remained silent. Finally, the soldier stepped into the lift. Raiden knocked away the AK with his left hand and then delivered a powerhouse punch to the man's face with his right. The soldier lost his balance and fell into the elevator. 2 swift kicks were all it took to send the guard to Dreamland. Raiden looked out the elevator to make sure no one else was around, and then dragged the body into the hallway. A large covered waste basket stood at the side of the lift. Raiden removed the lid, picked up the soldier, and dumped him unceremoniously into the trash. The lid fit perfectly on top. Raiden brushed his hands together and moved on. He emerged into sunlight and came face to face with another guard on the EF connecting bridge. There was nothing for Raiden to do except act on instinct. He drew the most accessible weapon, the SOCOM, and fired before the sentry could react. The round caught the man in the chest. He whirled around and slammed against the bridge railing, then slid to the ground. Raiden didn't like having to kill anyone. He was trained to incapacitate them if possible, and only used deadly force when absolutely necessary. Raiden told himself that this had been one of those compulsory cases. He made it onto the roof of Strut E and continued towards Strut D. The bridge between Struts D and G was the only way to get to Shell 2. He would then need to go around the structure to get to Shell 2. Wait. I just read that. He would then need to go around the structure to either Strut L to the right or Strut H to the left in order to gain access to one of the T connecting bridges to Core 2. The Strut D roof is curiously vacant. After the caution alert had been announced, Raiden expected the place to be crawling with enemy soldiers. Apparently, there just weren't that many of them to cover an edifice as large as the big shell. They were probably still scampering through Core 1 trying to find him. The codec buzzed. It was Pliskin! With an exclamation point. Hold on, my mom just texted me. Oh my god. Can you hear me? Pliskin, where have you been?
Checking around. I'm in Strut H right now. How's the situation over there?
We have a lead on the president's location.
Where is he?
Coy, the faithful.
I'm cut off from the core where I am. It's a mess here.
Alright, I'm on my way to Shell 2 right now. I'm about to cross the bridge between struts D and G now.
Wait, there are IR sensors in place on the connecting bridge. If you break the beams, the Semtex will go off.
I heard them talking about that.
Shoot the control units and destroy them. Make sure you don't shoot the Semtex.
What do the controls look like?
Take a look with your binoculars.
Raiden grabbed them from his pack. He noticed the packs of Semtex attached to rails and other surfaces. Near each explosive was a small box with a red indicator light. How am I supposed to shoot those tiny things from here? Raiden asked.
Can't help you there, kid. Got a sniper rifle?
No.
Better find one. Quick.
Raiden rubbed his chin. He remembered something he'd seen earlier. I think I know where to get one. Later. He signed off and reversed his tracks back to Strut E. But before he could cross the EF bridge, another gun cipher appeared. It sensed movement in his direction and began to turn its camera toward him. Raiden went down on one knee and released a burst of fire from the AK he was still carrying. The rounds blew the cipher to bits. Raiden crossed the bridge, made his way into the stairwell, and then down to the warehouse. The cavernous space was quiet, but to be safe, he kept to the walls and moved swiftly and silently. Finally, he found the alcove where the door marked Armory 3 was located. Using the security card Ames had given him, Raiden opened the level 3 door. Inside was a treasure trove of weapons and ammunition, a regular candy store for gun enthusiasts. Raiden stocked up on SOCOM bullets, took a few frag grenades, shaft grenades, and a couple of claymores. Then he found what he came for, a PSG-1T, a compact long-range sniper rifle with zooming scope sighting and a standard crosshair aim. Boxes of ammunition for the weapons were in plain sight. Raiden felt as if he'd eaten a couple of power bars. It took him 10 minutes to travel from the warehouse back to the Strut D roof, and he encountered no enemy personnel along the way. Raiden crouched at the entrance to the bridge and used the PSG-1 scope to evaluate the targets. One IR sensor was attached to a small white striped pump a few feet beyond the midway beams. Raiden loaded the rifle, readied it, and took careful aim. One shot did the trick. 2 control boxes were nestled on the left side of the bridge among the C4 packs and IR beams. These shots were trickier. He had to blow off only the tops of the boxes to avoid hitting the C4. Raiden steadied himself and pulled the trigger. A miss. The bullet zoomed way out over the Hudson. Concentrate, he ordered himself, and relax. The second and third bullets were easy. At first he couldn't locate any more targets, but then Raiden noticed the Sons of Liberty flag flapping in the breeze. As the flag fluttered, he could see a control box behind it on the railing. Raiden took aim at the flag, which consisted of a spotted snake on top of red and white stripes, and fired. Not only did he destroy the control box, but it was gratifying to blow a hole in the flag as well. A group of seagulls had gathered in front of another box. Raiden fired a warning shot just over their heads. The birds cawed and flew away, revealing the target. Another shot, another one down. Raiden studied the bridge with his binoculars to make sure he hadn't missed any. Sure enough, there was a control box on the floor of the bridge at the other end, just at the entrance of the Strut G roof. He took care of it with a single shot. It was now safe to cross the bridge. For the first time since the mission began, Raiden left Shell 1 and made his way towards Strut G, the first stop on Shell 2. As he moved, Raiden wondered how stable the structure was. The entire side containing struts H, I, and J leaned inward and was entirely unsafe. It was surely unsafe. Struts G, L, and K, plus the core, seemed to be all right. When he was halfway across, the codec buzzed again.
Raiden, I found this ride,
Pliskin said. I'm all ears.
One of the enemy's Kasatkas.
Is it in good shape?
Full tank. I'm heading for the Shell 1 now. What about the Harrier?
Raiden peered back to Strut and didn't see it. It's not on the heliport.
Good, I'll set this one down there then.
Can you cover the hostages? They're being held on the first floor of the core.
Will do.
You didn't have to find any other places where hostages were being held, did you?
No, nothing like that.
Okay. Raiden's suspicions that the colonel was either lying or keeping facts from him were growing stronger.
How many hostages are there?
Pliskin asked. a few short of 30, one dead and several wounded. The Kasatka's cargo area hold 13 max. What about the other Kasatka? I sabotaged it. It can't come after us if it can't get off the ground. Oh. We'll just have to make 2 trips. Can you fly a Kasatka? I have a pilot who's flown the civilian model, the KA-62 in VR. There's not a whole lot of difference between the military KA-62 and the civilian model. Biden heard another voice. Cleared for takeoff. Who's that? Biden, let me introduce you to my partner, Otacon. Pliskin said, Otacon? The newcomer's face appeared on the codec. He was younger than Pliskin, wore glasses, and had longish hair, and might have been considered a nerd in some circles. Some circles. Was this the civilian scientist that Peter Stillman had mentioned? Hey, Biden, Otacon said. Nice to meet you. Biden heard sudden gunfire through the codec. Damn! Pliskin shouted. Otacon, get us out of here. Biden, I'll talk to you later. With that, he signed off. Biden couldn't help smiling. He liked Pliskin. Even if the colonel had doubts about the guy, Pliskin was okay in Biden's book. And now he had the civilian pilot with him, another fellow who seemed already. He made another codec call. Colonel, I need some answers from you. Who exactly is Pliskin and his partner?
I know what you're thinking,
the man said defensively. It keeps coming back to Shadow Moses. And now this Otacon. Rose got on the line. A.K.A. Hal Emmerich. Which is like, why not just... It's not like... That's just his name. PhD. Shadow Moses survivor. Snake and Otacon both became fugitives after Shadow Moses, wanted for acts of terrorism. An anti-Metal Gear organization. The colonel said, they sabotaged and destroyed countless Metal Gear units throughout the world, and were responsible for the incident 2 years ago that necessitated the construction of the Big Shell. Rose added, Snake and his partner aren't terrorists, Biden insisted. Jack, why are you defending them? He wasn't sure how to put it into words. It was mostly a feeling. I look back on what I've done here so far, and things like training and sense of duty alone won't get you through a sneaking mission like this. Jack, are you okay? You need something higher. I can't think of the right word, but it has to be pure will backed up by courage or ideals or something like that. I'd stake my life on it. The solid snake that saved Shadow Moses couldn't turn into a terrorist. The colonel said,
Maybe that's true, but they went down with that tanker 2 years ago.
Who is they?
We even recovered Snake's body.
And the DNA test results on that body say it's him. And the DNA test results on that body say it's him. Biden repeated, not believing a word of it. Jack, I know what you're saying, but Snake is dead. He can't be here, not even as this Dr. Hal Emmerich. But that also means that he can't be the terrorist leader behind this thing. Biden reasoned. Simple as that. He signed off and continued across the bridge towards Stretch G as the sound of a chopper grew nearer. Biden looked up and saw Kamov Kasatka rising skyward from behind the bulk of Shell 2. The chopper hovered over the bridge. Pliskin was in the doorway. He waved at Biden. The operative saluted him, and then the Kasatka headed for the Shell 1 heliport. Biden turned back to continue his journey across the bridge, only to see a large man standing in front of the access door on the roof of Stretch G. He wore a long leather coat, had blonde hair, a mustache and goatee, and appeared to be quite physically fit. I've been waiting for you, the man shouted. A messenger from the Patriots! That voice, Biden knew it. The man in front of him was the one Ames had referred to as Snake, and the one the other 2 terrorists had called King. If you like that, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!